Welcome back, folks, to the Get a Grip on Lighting podcast. On today's show, we have Greg and Jeff Nefouses. Greggy, we went down to Louisville, Kentucky to A-M Electric, and they welcomed us into Louisville. They took us out for dinner, and we recorded a podcast, man.
Awesome time. They're two longtime NAILD members. Greg is somebody I've known for a long time and always looked up to. His son, Jeff, is somebody that we just met last year and had a great time with him, and it was a fun podcast to do. It's always good when you can get at least one other NAILD member to talk to us, but we got two.
That was great.
Father-son duo.
I got a surprise for you, Greg. Have you seen the cover of this? This is a black and white one. Have you seen the cover of this month's TLD that's coming out in October? Oh, baby.
I did see the PDF. I don't know if everybody else has, but that's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, it's coming out hot. So look out for the Today's Lighting Distributor hitting your mailbox, coming in soon. We had a fun time. Greg, Jeff, thanks for having us. And thanks for taking us out for dinner and showing us around Louisville a little bit. This episode of the podcast is sponsored by Satco. Go to satco.com, Greg. Why do you go there?
Why not? They have everything you need for lighting. A-M Electric, going back to them, is a longtime Satco distributor or customer, I should say.
Yeah, they're a distributor of Satco.
Their product.
They're absolutely a distributor of Satco. So am I. So are you.
Yes, and so am I, and so should everybody who's in lighting, because Satco has everything.
If you're an electrical distributor too, Satco is particularly valuable because they just have everything. Like you don't need to have, if you like a lighting distributor will have multiple different lighting guys for different products and stuff, but electrical distributor, they want to keep it tight. And so if you want to keep your supply tight, you want one to kind of have one go-to company, it's got to be satco.com.
Yeah, everything from fixtures, light bulbs, components, sockets, lenses, everything you need from Satco.
Oh, it's crazy. Go to satco.com, folks. But for right now, we got Greg and Jeff Nefouses from A-M Electric on the Get a Grip on Lighting podcast. Welcome to the Get a Grip on Lighting podcast, Greg Nefouses. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Good. Say hi to Greg here.
Hey, Greg. How are you?
Good to see you, Greg.
What's up, Foos?
Hey, and then Foos is here too.
So we call him Foos. We call you Greg, Mr. Nefouses.
Mr. Greg,
the Godfather of NAILD. How you doing, man?
I'm good. Glad to be here.
Yeah, isn't it great? You know, it's funny. It's funny that I feel like the Get a Grip on Lighting podcast and NAILD, we're bringing NAILD back and we're giving a voice to lighting distributors.
That'd be great. We've worked hard.
Yeah.
It's been a tough road.
How many years, you mentioned it earlier, but how many years have you been in lighting?
45.
Oh,
45 years.
I moved here to Louisville in July of 1974.
Wow.
Went in business with my father-in-law, Ed Sag, who's one of the founding members of NAILD.
So hang on a second here. We're talking about a 3-generation succession here. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Oh.
I love it. You just right up my alley here, Greg. So you've been in the business for 45 years. How many people have asked you for your opinion of what should happen in lighting?
Quite a few.
All right.
Where
are you at in 2019 though?
Well, like everybody else, the LED invasion, as I call it.
It's an invasion.
It's definitely an invasion, and they come at you from everywhere. Being in business, and probably a lot of my cohorts, you turn on your computer every morning when you get to work, and there's 10, 12 different people trying to sell you LEDs besides, the majors that are out there, are the big guys. And there's a lot of good companies out there. LEDs
There's a lot of bad companies out there too.
Yeah, I was getting to that.
There's probably more bad than there are good.
Yeah, a lot more
unfortunately.
And and I have
But you know the difference, Greg.
Yeah, I know the difference. I know that we run into a lot of people that are buying internet like you all. And I think a lot of some business with electrical contractors today, they try to make their jobs, they try to make it, and they're buying a lot of stuff on the internet, but they don't know what they're buying.
Sure.
And you got to know what you're buying. And there's good companies out there, but I like to have the companies, I know if I have a problem, we just had one recently, they're going to cover. They cover your butt, and it makes all the difference in the world because you still got to satisfy your customer, and it all comes down to your customer.
You know what Greg's talking about, Greg? Greg.
Yes, what?
So he's talking about the value of distribution.
Yeah, and I think that's what's lost a lot is that not a lot of people are in it looking for the long term, and they worry about what they're going to sell now. not what's going to happen down the road for their customer. And
But Greg Nefouses
45
sitting there,
years.
yeah, and Greg Nefouses sitting here going like, yeah, I don't know those guys. They're saying 5 years, 10 years, but I've been in the business for 500,000 hours.
Yeah.
Right? Or whatever the hour rating is on you. What's your hour rating?
Right. I gotcha. And you know what? You have something to fall on if there is a problem.
Sure.
And it to me, that's the protection. Look, we can all go out. I've had salespeople that, let's buy a compact for 10 cents and sell it for $3.90, $3.75, whatever. And then you're buying that compact 12 times to replace it with the customer, so you're coming out ahead. But look at all the legwork. It's not my cup of tea. It never has been.
I agree. Yeah. And so, like many NAILD members, Greg, you're going through it. I thought it was going to be one succession, but now the third generation in the family business. Are you guys going through a succession here? Is Jeff going to take over A-M Electric? What's the plan?
Well,
I don't know if that's appropriate to ask him.
No,
you can always bleep all this out if you want me to.
No, it's interesting you should say that. I'm going to work a few more years.
Sure.
I'd like to be able. I'll be 68 in the fall.
Sure.
And I'm thinking, I don't mind working hard for another 6 or 7 years or so, but I think it's going to be Jeffrey's. I'd just end up giving it to him.
Is that what you want, Jeff?
That's the succession.
Is it what I want? Yes. I've worked for it and whatnot.
How long have you been working here?
A little over 12 years now. So it hasn't
Right.
been too long, but
No, that's a good run.
I mean,
yeah, it is.
But in general, I would love to, take over the business one day. A lot of it's going to depend on whether I'm here or not, though, too, which my wife has a job that, she loves U of L. She works for U of L, so the University of Louisville. But if she gets a grant, sometimes people come after, they come after you. And it's a problem that I might have to run into in the future. But for right now, the plan is to stay in Louisville and take over the business. So that's
Oh, you mean your wife might move for her career?
Exactly.
What a different age we're in 2019.
Well, you follow the money, as they say, and she's the brains of the crew. So
There you go.
I can find a job around the nation somewhere. NAILD. I know a lot of people.
Yeah,
and
sure.
I'll find a job, but
Good people are hard to find these days.
that's another issue. Yeah.
You know what? You know what I would say. I would say on top of that, I would caution you in this, and not that interfering in your personal relationship with your wife, but I would say that being a business owner, especially coming into something where there's an established business with revenue coming in, is a huge honor. I know personally because it's happened to me. My dad's 74 years old. He, love you, Dad. Hopefully you're going to watch this one. He's watched a couple, but not all of them. But, he takes his summers off. He takes most of, January, takes some time off for himself. But he likes to come to work every day still. And he loves selling light bulbs. So, but, there's something to being a business owner that I think people underestimate. Greg, what would you say? They underestimate the control you have over your destiny or fate, or the fate of your life. What is it that we love so much, you and I?
I think the need for you, or the need for when you're a business owner, the need that you provide, or the need for you, kind of frees you in a way, if that makes sense.
Honestly, if we're going back on this, like our 100% goal is to stay in, everything works out. But like I said, there's always a balance that you have to have, and the funny thing, we're bringing up LED takeovers and all that. Sometimes it's scary to not know where you're going to be in 5 to 10 years if everything keeps on going the way it goes sometimes. So
I've had to invent the company that I own, reinvent it three times in 15 years.
Yeah, you always have to.
No, but we're talking like we're not talking about
really inventing.
Yeah, like we're talking like I went from the only person in 2001 doing energy efficiency lighting upgrades in Toronto, and then to having exclusive contracts with entire towns in Ontario to upgrade all the lighting, and then to like competitors piling in like crazy, and the changing regulations and all this sort of stuff, and it's like there's a lot of. It's actually it's an interesting, tough time to be in the lighting business right now.
Very.
You're right. It's interesting, and it is very tough. You can do a legwork on a lot of jobs, and that's what I was saying about the internet. And you'll give the people a price, and you'll tell them, you got a 5-year deal, with the warranty
Some
factor.
cases 10.
Some cases 10 on the product, and you got to put a little something in for yourself. We're here to make money,
sure,
but we're also here to satisfy and please customers, because it gives you a good satisfaction you've done something good. And when I hear, I can get this and this, sometimes I draw the line and I just, what, if I can't make a few dollars, then it's not worth it to me, and I'll just move on and try to get another customer. And you want to satisfy everybody, but I think, back in the early years at NAILD, they'd bring in speakers and stuff, and it was really kind of funny. If you made 100 calls in a 3-month period and 10 of them became new customers, 10% was great.
Yeah, sure.
I always thought that I always felt like that every time I walked into a place, I wanted to get them as a customer.
Yeah, for sure.
So I always wanted to have a higher batting average than 10%.
Sure.
And but sometimes that comes to be true, but now it's completely different. You're when you turn a customer today to LED, you work for it. You're really working hard, because a lot of people, have not accepted LED, but until you start showing them other projects where we've done jobs with and get an opinion or somebody else's answer, we're saving 30% a month on our energy bill. Then the customer goes, man, you're right. I need to start doing this.
But that's a different business than what Atlas and Premier Lighting and A-M Electric traditionally did. What we did was ship people cases of light bulbs.
Right. That's what we sold them, lamps and ballasts.
Like one of our sales reps, 75 years old, he always talks about the hammer. And I said, Tony, Tiger. His nickname is Tiger because he hunts. And he's like, wow, sometimes I got to bring the hammer. I said, what you talking about, Tiger? I'm going to break those light bulbs in the back because he needs to order a couple more cases. So he's a Tiger hammer. But it's like the business was based on the reorder of light bulbs that burned out on a regular basis. That's your career. Can I say that? Is that fair?
Absolutely. You're right.
And now it's like this project pseudo warranty game that you're afraid to put your toe in because you know a thing or two about what they mean by rated average life.
Yeah, that's true. And, we in the beginning of LED, we had some issues. I think we all had some issues with some of the product.
Sure. Be honest.
Yeah.
We didn't make it. You didn't make it?
No.
Did you make it, Jeff?
No.
I could have.
Hey, what was really, really cool? One of the companies that's probably still, they're still in NAILD, I believe. Is Halco still in it?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. Is Halco still a vendor member?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. I remember buying LED Par 38s in the beginning. When was that?
$50 a pop or something?
No,
it was even worse.
It was worse than that. They were like $78 a piece.
It was Palm Springs.
Yeah.
They
like 2013.
No, the
14.
one
before that.
Before that, it was actually my first NAILD in the business.
Was it 08 maybe?
Yeah, something like 08, 09, something like that. And yeah, they were selling them for. I think we bought them for $80.
Yeah,
and we only bought them because like someone wanted it. Like they gave us a sample, and it was a good looking bulb at the time.
Weighed a ton.
Somebody thought it was cool.
This person bought about 60 of them, I think. Wow. I'm going back as one of the schools or whatever, and going back and thinking, I'm like, man, like they go back now, they're probably like, what the heck were we thinking? Just because it was that much money then.
Yeah. Look, in the beginning in LED, the people that jumped on it first were a lot of states and the federal government. Mm-hmm. They converted a lot of stuff, especially on the East Coast.
You know what's funny about Canada and the United States? So Canada and the United States are pioneer countries, right? So people would come to Canada or the United States to in the 1700s and all that sort of stuff, and they would die like crazy.
And the early adopters of LED got burned like bastards.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
It's like TVs. I always go it reminds me of TVs a little bit, like when the old school big flat panels came out, like originally the big thing in the back of it.
Heavy as hell.
Paid like $2,000 for and then a year later, that you can get, and now you can get like a 32-inch for like $80.
Agreed. But Jeff, a light bulb is not a consumer product.
No, I know. But
what I mean is that
the involvement of
is like if someone comes along and says you can get a better TV, Greg. Maybe you're gonna buy it so the picture's better or whatever it is. It looks cleaner, crisper. You want your lights to just work for like 10 years.
Yeah, the only sell has been energy efficiency. It's like as long as it provides the same light but saves the energy, then I'll think about it.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's it.
It's not a consumer product.
Right.
So what? So we're all in the same boat.
So Greg, you've been in it 45 years. Is it an exciting time right now?
Ooh.
Scary time? What do you got for us?
I think every day is an adventure.
Yeah.
And people call up. I know Jeff's on the counter. And when people want to talk tubes, okay, and, converting tubes over, you're right. Don't sell me 2 cases of 4-footers and I'm gone out the door. You have to tell a story. They're going to save energy, bypassing the ballast. Some people don't even know fixtures have ballast.
Sure.
So it's a new thing. I would prefer to sell new fixtures if their fixtures are old T12s. Okay. But a lot of people, they don't want to take them out. It's tearing up the ceiling and, so you give them you're giving them options.
Sure.
And we used to think when they went from 4-foot T12s to T8s that, you had to show these people. But I think today, you got to have you're telling a story. And I think LEDs is a story. Mm-hmm. And you just got to, and you make it a happy ending. You try to tell them where they can save. It's going to be easier. If they're PAR lamps or LED, the BR30s, they run cooler.
Sure.
You don't have to worry about a lot of that stuff. And outside, wall packs and floods, especially wall packs on buildings, when you can put a 40, 50 watt on the building and you had 2 50-watt metal halides up there, you're saving some energy and you're giving people great light.
Okay, is it halide or halide? Can we just settle this thing once for all?
I say halide.
I said metal halide.
Halide, like
halide. It's a southern thing.
Where does this halide come from? I want to know for certain. It's like metal.
See, you're not
halide.
You're not in Louisville right now. You're in Louisville.
Louisville.
That's it's just it's a added twang.
And relating to your story scenario, LED, you're selling a story, and there's an ending. Yeah. Is there an ending? When does it start again? When does the story start?
Well, it's not happily ever after, bro. It ain't happily ever after.
So let's start the story over.
Jeff and I have kind of like figured out that I think that we've converted maybe 30% of our customers to LED.
Okay.
And there's a lot more, but we might see them in 7 years, 5 years, maybe. It all depends. Nobody really knows.
Is Kentucky rebate heavy?
No.
Never has been.
But right across the river is Duke, and they're rebate heavy.
Is Tennessee Valley thing here?
That would be southern Kentucky, and I really don't know much about that. I know one of our nailed vendors has got a pretty good website, and it'll tell you about rebates. Can I mention it?
Sure.
Yeah. It's ICO. Yeah. ICO on their website, they got this one special area and what up to date
Sacco as well.
Well, okay. Yeah. Let me ask you this: how is your relationship with ICO? Who's your big vendor, the one you would turn to?
They're good. ICO's good.
I think ICO has the best website.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Their website's good.
I think they have the best website in all mill vendors.
I underestimate. Well, I overestimated them on their numbers of what they do, and they're trying to get better numbers, but they specialize. I mean, I think they do a good job. I really do, because being one of our better vendors, they get to you, they ship less than 48 hours most of the time.
Sure.
And they're trying to ship.
We have a great contact with them too. A guy named Steve Grassi who does a great job, based out of Missouri. And we
Hey,
have a
Steve,
great
you want to come on and get a grip on lighting podcast, man?
He would. The Italian stallion.
So what makes a good vendor? You've got quick delivery.
Quick response as well to
response.
email, I think is huge.
I mean, let me ask.
Yeah.
I mean, you're right.
No, you're
let me ask you guys. Do you ever?
Nobody asked me questions.
All right.
This is gonna be an old man. This is gonna be an old man get off my lawn moment coming up.
Yeah.
No, I shouldn't say that. The only person who did was Paul Hafner.
No,
He took over my
Greg
show.
Nefouses.
Now Greg Nefouses
Did
is
you
gonna
all
set up.
ever? Did you all ever like email one of your vendors, hopefully to get an answer within an hour at the most,
Sure. Mhm. Yeah.
and it's sometimes 3 hours because if you start with, sometimes the reps aren't in the house and
Yeah.
they're not gonna.
No, we're not going to start on reps.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
We won't go start
yeah.
on reps. But I prefer a company that gets back with you.
Yeah.
That gives you an answer that day, but mostly within an hour, because that's where your customer wants to know something. You don't want to leave them hanging.
No, for sure.
And I guess,
Sure.
and look, when we made so many phone calls in the 70s and 80s and even the 90s, and then the computers changed everything on.
But you know what? There's something to be able to get someone on the phone. Man.
I'd still love to call on the phone.
You know what I would say is like, and rep agencies and all sort of stuff. And I'm not telling anybody what to do. Okay, everybody's free to do whatever they want. But you know what I love is a good order desk person gets back to you right away on email or phone, and then a sales rep that comes to see you 2-3 times a year checks in, and if you have a problem, you can call them right away and or her and take care of that. To me, that's what I want.
Yeah,
that's what I want.
It goes down the line. Like most of our customers, unfortunately for us, don't care about their lighting. They want it to work and they want it now and they want to move on with their day.
100%.
So they want a response, man. If they're asking you, that person better get to you to get to them and move on with their day.
Right.
That's it.
I try to educate myself on that reason alone, basically, so I can have an answer for people as much as I can.
Yeah.
But every now and then, of course, you're not going to be able to. I rather give the right information and take some time than to give you like a wild guess. And
Right.
but like I said, Ico does a great job with that. He gets back with us, or someone does, very fast if we have a question.
So responsiveness is important.
Yeah.
What else?
We're talking vendors, right?
Yeah. What else?
Right. And I got a company that I'm dealing with out of your country now.
Oh my goodness!
This is going to go the other way, I think.
Yeah, this will go the other way. Can I give you a for instance?
Yeah.
Sure.
Let's do it.
Okay.
This is the Get a Grip on Lighting podcast.
Yeah.
You can for sure give us a for instance.
We ordered the product on the 26th of July.
Yeah.
There's a rep warehouse out of Indianapolis, and evidently they haven't had a truck come in a long time, and so they were waiting for a truck, so they put it on Canada. Okay?
Okay.
So on Tuesday, which would have been, last Tuesday, a week ago, last Tuesday was the
July
30th. 30th. Yeah, July 30th.
Yeah, 30th.
Right. They said, well, we had to turn the order up and give it to Canada, and they were going to ship it Thursday. Thursday being the 1st. Mm-hmm. No order yet, so I sent an email about 12:30 to the rep agency out of Indianapolis, and I said, got the girl's name, and I CC'd my salesman that comes in here, and the guy that I work with up in Indianapolis, pretty much. But this girl took care of the order. So about 3:00, I see on my phone, I was coming back to the office, one of the guys on this is what kills me. She's checking on that with the company now. Now, how long does it take? Here it's been 4 hours and they don't know where's the order.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Sure.
Yeah.
Either I like a person that'll say, okay, you know what? We possibly screwed up. We didn't enter it.
Yeah.
Okay? Unless they're figuring out in 4 hours what to say to me so I won't get upset.
Yeah.
My point of view, I can't deal with a company like that.
I'm with
It's
you.
just,
Yeah.
I can't do it.
Right.
How do you feel about that?
Canada is a country of
In fairness, this isn't just Canadian.
No.
I think this happens all the time.
But there's border issues, other things. In terms of me being Canadian and caring about that, responsiveness, integrity, and taking accountability for a problem is so key to any business relationship.
Any business, not just
Yeah.
anything.
That's border free, language free, whatever it is.
Yep.
Like I started an email course that I give to my people. I have my own course on email, and I tell them that, first of all, email is a contract. So if you say something to somebody over an email, you're entering into a contract with them. And that is a binding contract by law. It's an implied agreement. You said yes, I said no, it will be delivered by the 24th, all this kind of stuff. These are like email is a contractual situation. On top of that, when it comes to that type of communication, there's something to it that is, I don't know what the right word is, but the faster someone gets back to you by email, the more they want your business. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Like your responsiveness, like you said, whether it's by phone, whether it's by email, that is like, if you wait 24 hours to get back to somebody in 2019, you don't want their business.
Get out.
I'm with you.
For sure. Even if you don't have an answer, you at least acknowledge it so that they can move on with their day and know that you're working on it.
Yes.
That's all it takes.
Yeah.
5 seconds.
Yeah. Just an acknowledgement. Response. Acknowledge.
I'll get right on that.
And there's examples. I could tell the non-response is very powerful. And I said to them, use the non-response carefully. So, for example, the other day, we had this customer that was grinding us on price. But they also had this 6-week deadline. So after everything was finalized and it was all these outdoor polls and all this sort of stuff, and the customer at the end is like, and we want to have a 10% discount. And we need it done by July 29th. This is like June 15th. I said, don't respond to that email, but call the guy in 2 days and ask him whether the deadline is legit or not. Okay? Like, call his bluff. Right? Like a $15,000 job, the polls or whatever the heck he wanted. And I remember he's like, oh, yeah. And my sales rep's all, and his head's all crazy. And he's like, this guy wants the job done by this time. And he's all hot. He's getting crazy. But then he's like, oh, yeah. And the guy wants $1,000 off. Don't respond to that email and follow up with him in 48 hours if he calls you. And don't even bring up his request for a discount. And it worked beautifully. So sometimes the non-response is great. But most of the time, the faster the better. And as long as you're choosing it, if you're just like a lazy guy and you're not responding to either a NAILD vendor or our customers, got to get back to people right away. Nobody wants to wait.
For sure. No,
Microwave society.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. Now to dive a little into Louisville, because we're here.
Yeah, welcome.
Thanks. Tell us about the market here. What are you guys doing? You said 30% of your customers have retrofitted the LED. Is that
ballpark
across the region? Do you think as a whole?
Well, we have to look at our marketplace, and we're 1 million, but that counts as southern Indiana, so we're not a big area. And we're really saturated with distributors, plus the big guys. We have some, you name the big guys, they're here. We even have a big Ranger distribution center here now. And you know how their commercials go, call Granger. They're there 24 hours. They get their stuff. I mean, they're pretty good.
Never heard of them. Who are those guys?
Granger.
Are they members of NAILD?
No, we would.
I don't know who those guys are.
I don't know. I'm from really the old school. I think if you go to work every day, I think good things happen. And I think you can't, you're going to have bad days. Everybody does. And we're businesses. You're wondering if you're doing the right thing. You ask yourself that. And, you talked about reinventing the wheel. I think some days we reinvent the wheel. You go back maybe some of your basics that you learned in the beginning, the stuff that got you going as a company. and it's not so bad, but the personal relationships are still good. It's funny. A lot of people still know me, but I can't remember a lot of people anymore. It's just you lose that edge that you once had. That's why you got Junior
to
here.
answer your question though, like what kind of community like that Louisville, I think Louisville's a very traditional community.
Okay.
Like why they're like, which is actually it's good and bad. It's good in the fact that like people love small businesses here. They like to hear a voice on the phone when they call.
Yeah.
I think that makes a huge difference. However, I think there's some a lot of people are very willing to get technology and whatnot to try, but there's a lot of people who are extremely stubborn. And that's good and bad. It really is. Because, business is business. I don't care if you want to buy a bunch of 8-foot single pins to relamp your thing. If that's what you want to do, I'm all for it. We're lucky, I think, to be in an area where we're at because it keeps a small business that, you have 6 or 7 full-time employees. It keeps you open.
Yeah.
And Louisville does a great job of, getting small businesses, I think, a chance. And that's all you can ask, really. And like you said, it's a big city, but it's not too big. And so, it keeps us active.
But do you think people as a whole in the market are kind of resistant to change on the LED side of things?
Yes and no. I think there's some who are. And I think you find that anywhere, though, I would think. I would say a lot of it's based when, like, you do a layout, the kilowatt hours here are still very cheap. I think we're at 7 cents a kilowatt hour.
That's cheap.
So, when you show them sometimes the payback's 6 years on something, if it was like a fluorescent, they're like, well, I'm not, what's the point of that? And then a lot of maintenance.
You know what I do in those cases?
What's up?
So whenever the payback goes more than 3 years, I just tell my reps to give them the percentage of savings.
We just did that.
Yeah.
Like, because it's actually up to them.
LSI, I think we kind of.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, like we everybody in the lighting business is obsessed with a 2-year payback.
Yeah.
The 2-year payback, that's what you need. Okay, you're talking HVAC. There's no such thing as anything less than a 5-year payback.
Solar is 20 years.
100% on the HVAC. I was like, it'll save you energy, but remember, if you're running your air conditioning a million hours,
not only is it 5 years, but it's like a complete and total estimate based on the temperature outside.
Yeah.
Like lighting is so certain.
No, 100% accurate on that. And I think a lot of people, I think a lot of people are skeptical of what's new sometimes. And we have a lot of electricians too, who like independent guys, and they don't always want to change to LED because they want, that consistent metal halide business that, they're going, they need that bucket truck to go up there and change lights every year or so, when the winter comes, he's like, I want that business. So unless they ask me, I said, as long as you're honest with your customer, if they say, well, what's this about this LED? Like, should I, continue? I think it all depends on the people, and some people don't like change. Yeah. And I will embrace that though.
And do you think if the utility kicked in a big rebate, it would totally change the marketplace?
I think it would help 100%. I think it did with T8s because they had a good rebate for T8s for the 6-bulb high bays and stuff like that. And people would be like, they were basically giving away fixtures at that point.
Hard to sell when they give them away, isn't it?
Well, I mean,
there you go.
It didn't make a difference to me. The customer got the money back, so it made them enticed to, spend more money later. Sure. But yeah, I think that would help, but I don't think it's coming anytime soon. Our state's already got a financial problem as it is, so pension problem. So they're kind of, they'll use anything to make excuses.
That won't stand in the way of anybody. Because the programs are rate based. I
agree.
So that 7 cents a kilowatt hour will become 15 cents a kilowatt hour after everybody gets free LEDs, right?
Exactly.
That's how it's paid for. But so what do you? So you're the third generation of succession. You're a little uncertain. Can I ask you guys a delicate question, Greg?
Mm-hmm.
Who wants it more? Do you want him to take it over more, or does he want to take it over? And how have you guys had any fights about it? Any arguments?
None.
No, I've never had a fight about
who wants it more.
We have never really talked about it.
Oh, that's
until right now on the recording.
No, I think you know,
You ready to be an
It's
entrepreneur,
his-
Jeff?
sure.
Sure, he
Stuff in.
says sure.
But that's not it's not my business.
Mm.
So I may be a third generation, but I'm, you know, I make a great living. I love what I do. When he's ready, then we'll talk. Like, you know, there's no like, oh, he's got to be out of here by when he's 70, or I'm going to move on to another. It's not like that with me.
Mm.
And I don't think it ever will. It's his business. It has been for a very long time, and he has earned the right to, you know,
course.
to like now if he wants to travel or do whatever he wants to do when he turns 70 and what, I'm more than
There's
happy
a lot
to
of
take
nail
on.
members in the same boat
Yeah.
as you guys.
And you know, that's I'll tell you, he was talking about earlier, it's hard to find good employees, and it works that way too with, you know, at least with both of us, we know we're going to be here and we know we're going to work, you know, for the betterment
Sure.
of the company.
Sure.
So it's always nice to have someone like that in your corner.
What about you? What about you, Greg? What do you have?
Took him off guard.
No,
That's the whole
I
goal
think-
here. Is just get a grip on letting podcast, man.
I waited a long time before I bought my father-in-law out.
How old were you?
We started a buyout in 1995, or that's when it was completed. No, we started in
So more
1995.
than 20 years ago or whatever.
Right, and it
5
was
years
done by 99.
Okay.
January 1st of 99. It was 5 years, even, you know, give it whatever. And
Was that a clean process? Was there
it
any
was
fights?
hard.
Was there any fights? Like, is there any bad blood?
I think the bad blood kind of started after it was over with. And I was always close with my father-in-law, but I think we became a little distant after the situation occurred.
Mm.
But, you know, he was not as, you know, he wasn't as well, physically. And, but I think, you know, Eddie was a good guy. And, we were kind of like Jekyll and Hyde in the business.
Mm.
He might have been the closer, but I was the one doing all the
Sure.
the tough stuff.
So he was swinging through the trees with a knife.
Well, I think like anybody else, when you're the other person, and I think I made him and his wife, probably a lot of money, but I was given an opportunity when I moved here in 74 and I took advantage of it. And I feel like I'm still doing that thing. It's just my work ethic, I guess. You know, and I thought sometimes when people get into their twilight and they know they're going to be selling a business or whatever, they kind of go away. You know,
But they still hang on in a way.
yeah, that's part of it. And I don't think Jeffrey will agree to this. I don't think I'm trying to hang on because I'm still working hard. I really
Sure.
enjoy working. It's because if you don't, I feel for my employees, and we don't have a lot of employees. I've got 2 guys that drive in warehouse, and they've been with me one
20 plus years.
yeah, one almost 30 years.
I think one of the things that you could do. May I make a suggestion?
Sure.
One of the things that you could do would be to change the way you speak from me to us.
Okay.
That would facilitate the transition, because a lot of times, like, you may think, oh, I'm just Greg Nefouses or whatever, but you're also a presence. Does that make sense, Greg? Like, there's Angie Koch.
Cook, yeah.
Cook.
My partner.
Sorry, Angie. Love you,
Yes.
sweetie. But she has a presence, a management presence. My father has a management. You know, the Schneiders. 4EN. What's his?
Scott.
Scott. Sorry, Scott. Love you, buddy. You know, come on. I'm under pressure. I'm recording right now. I'm looking at this. Like, there's a presence. Scott has a presence in the office. There's a feeling when he's there.
He started those 4 locations.
Yeah.
That was him.
I mean, like, Scott started the whole thing. You know what I mean? And where's Scott? Scott's the boss. Where's Greg? Greg's the boss. Where's Angie? Where's Brian? And there's like the succession is also spiritual in a sense. And it comes with a price. There's a price to it.
Well, I kind of relate to Jeffrey the way I related to my father-in-law, and I'll tell a story. We were down on Main Street here. Actually, we were on Main Street for 44 years until we just moved a year ago, a little over a year ago. And Eddie owned the buildings, and we rented. I rented from Eddie and Elaine. They owned the two buildings. They knew what the buildings sold for after they sold them. They'd die. Well, they are.
Again.
Yeah, they are. But long story. But I was all excited because Hilliard and Bradsby is a bat manufacturing company that makes probably 60% of the bats for Major League Baseball players.
Right.
Louisville Slugger.
Louisville Slugger.
Okay.
And they were over in Jeffersonville, and they moved many years ago.
Are they a customer of yours?
Yeah, they are a customer of ours.
So Louisville Sluggers
Yeah,
are made under Louisville of A-M Electric.
yeah.
There you
If you
go.
got
There-
spare time, I said the museum down the road is great.
Yeah.
Great museum. You're
Oh,
right.
check it
You're
out.
not too far. And I was all excited. I was into baseball in 1992 when all this went down, that they were moving back to Louisville and going to be on our block.
Mhm.
Okay. And about 2 weeks after that, guy comes in to the business, and, here we are. We've got a 80-foot front loading dock area. We paid for loading zone with the city. And the guy says, "Hey, I want to tell you something. You know that H&B announced 2 weeks ago they're coming back to Louisville." And I go, "Yeah, I'm excited. It's going to really help this block." He goes, "Well, I'm not here really to help you all." I says, "You're kidding. Why?" He says, "Well, you got 80 foot. And if you look at this drawing, there's going to be trees like every 16 feet.
Okay.
So they were changing the block, which they have. There's only one original business still left down there from the time I started in 1974. And it's a mirror company, and they've just grown so by leaps and bounds. They keep buying property down there. But they're really kind of like, shouldn't be there, but that's okay. I mean, it's old Louisville. And we had to eventually move down the street, and it kind of, my father-in-law really got upset with me. And I told him, I said, we got a place. It's going to be close to where we are. We're not going to own it. We're going to be renting it, but it's worthwhile.
Mm-hmm.
And, our business really did good. We moved down there in 1994. So we still had about 2 years
But
to
this
move.
is in the middle of the transition. too.
Yeah. And we're transitioning, and we're going through that. Next year was tough. I lost my mom in the process of this whole thing. But from like 95 to 2000, things were, we were really, growing, doing a lot of good things as a company. It was fun. And I could see my father-in-law was not well. He had a couple of hip replacements. They found some, cancer in his hip because they had to redo one, and they wouldn't have found it. He probably wouldn't have lived to 2008. But we had a good relationship, and it was time to make the move, and the move worked out for a lot of years. And then here it is. I had a good landlord for 14, 15 years down the move, and he sold out, the people that were just, they're in it for flipping the building or whatever.
Sure.
And so he got on the internet. We had a little situation where they didn't do a good job of taking care of some stuff for us, the landlord. So he got on the internet, and he started looking for properties. We looked at a couple, and this came up. And
For sale.
yeah.
So.
And I ended up, looking at it and made a bid after contemplating it for a while. And I like this building a whole lot better than that first building you wanted me to.
It's still for sale.
Oh,
I know.
are we going to get the insensitive areas here,
No,
Jeff? Where are we going with this thing?
And
was
I
my-
was
that was
in
my fault.
I was in California, and you kept calling me about that building, wasn't it?
No.
It was
That was this one. Yeah,
oh, it was this one.
Because we had a deal go through. The guy would negotiate again with us this building, and then his son-in-law, I think, talked some sense into him. And 2 weeks later, he was going to you were going to NAILD in West Coast again. Was it Palm Springs again?
No, where did we have it the year before last?
Good question.
Reno, and
Reno.
then before
Yeah.
that was...
It was the one before. It was
man,
one
Phoenix?
before Reno.
We travel so much.
I
know.
I can't
Which one
even
it
keep
was?
it straight anymore.
I forgot.
So last year was Reno. The year before was... oh, my God. We know where the nail convention was, listeners, you bastards. We've just been to so many. They're all mixed up in our heads now.
It was West Coast. I know that because it was on. You went to visit Dave.
Denver? Was it not Denver?
Not Denver. No.
Oh,
Denver,
it was Palm Springs.
Palm Springs. It was
Yeah.
Palm Springs.
You know how I know? Sad to say.
We went Palm Springs, Reno.
Yeah.
We're bringing it back to East Coast. We're going. You know where we're going this year?
No, we don't.
You know where we're going? I haven't announced it yet. It'll be
Kevin Wolf hinted at something, but he never told me.
Oh yeah, Kevin Wolf. Kevin Wolf knows for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna let it out right now because by now it's already been released.
Atlanta,
by the
Georgia.
time. No, close. We're going to Biloxi, Mississippi, son.
Oh my god.
Woo!
Really?
Yeah.
I could drive.
We're going to Biloxi.
Is Biloxi across from Memphis?
No, Tunica's.
Tunica's. Where's Biloxi?
Biloxi's on the Gulf Coast.
Oh, it's down near Mobile?
Yeah, because you know what? Nobody's been to Biloxi, but everybody's heard about it.
Yeah, I've never been. Have you
I've never been.
There is a casino.
Oh, there's lots of casinos there. We've narrowed it down. We've narrowed it down to 7 hotels at this point.
Okay.
So what do you fly in to get there if you
You
fly?
gotta. Everyone's gonna have to do 2 flights to Atlanta. You guys could probably. You're a little closer.
We
but
do
I
it.
might drive.
out of Toronto. Out of
Just
out of
direct.
Minneapolis.
Just
Yeah.
direct out of Minneapolis.
No.
It's a direct,
Yeah.
you bastard.
Is that
Everything's direct out of Minneapolis.
Yeah, it works out for me.
Is Biloxi near Baton Rouge? I mean,
It's close to New Orleans.
New Orleans.
Yeah, it's a good 2-hour drive. I think
Oh,
something
okay.
It's on the way down.
maybe 3, something like that. You know,
About 7 hours.
listen, Greg, if you want to make a New Orleans kind of soiree trip after the convention
I
with your
would.
wife and Jeff and his wife, you guys could you could leave on Thursday and get to New Orleans.
The
in
oysters
just in
alone
time.
are worth
Yeah.
it.
Come on, man.
so where were? Oh, we were at the move, and then we moved,
Right.
and this became like I had that move to get Eddie to say, we got to get out. We were doing hand unloading in 1994 from 74 to 94. We bring our carts out on the street and unload because we bought we bought a tow motor, and as soon as we brought it into the loading area where we brought everything in, we didn't know this, but the building collapsed. The tow motor
Crushed the building, fell through the
fell through,
Sure.
and he was dangling there, and we had to get a crane to get it up,
Jeez.
and so we couldn't use a tow motor. This happened like 1990 when we were going to conform to the way things should be done. Look, I learned all this stuff from going to NAILD. I did.
Dude,
I learned a lot.
I'll tell you this. In 1994, I was in high school, and my dad was selling light bulbs out of the garage of his house.
No kidding.
I'd come home from school, and there'd be like 40 or 50 boxes for UPS to pick up. The UPS truck would come by. I'd be coming home from the buzz, but help the UPS guy load the boxes into the truck there. Okay? My dad would rent garages in the neighborhood, and he'd have light bulbs in all these garages in the neighborhood.
He had a halogen garage,
And
a linear
yeah,
fluorescent
for sure,
garage.
yeah, for sure. So my dad would have like $10,000 worth of par 30s in a garage around the corner. And my dad always said to me, it's interesting. I love you, buddy. He would always say to me, he'd say, you got to keep your costs down because you want to keep your profit.
Oh, sure. Everybody wants to.
He's like, he always, he kind of in a way, it was like, his theory was, I can make this much money and that's what I want. And I can make more money if I keep my costs down. And you know what? So, we worked out of the garage from 1977 to 2001. But now I'm about to live stream from the IES convention. So Dad, thanks very much, buddy. So, there's nothing wrong with being on this side of the business. And a lot of people they think it's better to be on the other side. But I feel like we know more. I feel like the distributors need a better voice, Greg.
I think that's what a lot of this is about. And, we've said it before, we're in the trenches, and who deals with the lighting is the people that use the lighting, and who deals with those people is us.
Exactly.
And that's it.
It's the Nefouses, it's the Erics, it's the Colligans,
Yeah.
whether it's Toronto, Louisville, or Minneapolis, bro.
It's all the same.
We're taking it to the streets. So, Jeff, what's your thing, man? You want to run this thing, or you're not sure?
Oh, I do. Yeah. No, there's no doubt in my mind.
But you might move.
I'm going to go.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's a situation that might happen. I mean, I can't deny that.
Ooh.
But it's not going to happen anytime soon. So I don't know. I mean, you're asking me two different questions. You're like, do I want to? And then, is everything like anything else?
Where's your heart at, man? That's what I'm asking.
I love this business. I do.
Me too.
It's not about that. It's about, my wife has a passion too. So you have to
Colored light bulbs are more passionate.
Hey, hopefully the deal is everything works out and
We
we'll
want
end
to
up
keep you in
Louisville.
NAILD, buddy.
Well, that's not an issue. I'll be in NAILD somehow.
He's the new company representative.
Come on,
He's
no,
ready.
you are an honorary member.
Oh, I was the past president.
Come on,
Like
man.
Greg.
Of course.
That's right.
Except for me. Folks, this has been the Get a Grip on Lighting podcast with Greg and Jeff Nefouses. Guys, thanks very much for
Thanks for
welcoming
having
us to
us.
Good to
in
be here.
Louisville, man.
Good to be here.
Really appreciate you showing us
Thanks,
around,
guys.
giving us your story,
Thank you.
telling us all about your business, man. It's truly an honor for us. Appreciate it.
Sounds good.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
All right.
Thanks.
Hey, Greg, have you seen this new product video from Satco, man?
I saw a quick clip of it when Alan Karen was with us, but I haven't watched it in its entirety yet.
So go to it now, Scott, and have it on the screen for the YouTube watchers so they can see it. Go ahead, play it now. Let's go.
Oh, yes. What is going on?
They got a bomb coming in from the planet Light Ray. What did they drop? What bomb did they drop?
Looks like they're bombing it on a bunch of LED components. There it goes. Boom. Light it up. It's awesome.
It's like Star
Floating
Trek.
LED. Yes. What's it going to make? There it goes.
Boom!
Oh, yeah, that thing. Love it.
Oh man, I haven't had this much fun in the lighting business in ages, man.
That's a cool product, though. You can see what it's doing right there. Isn't that nice?
Yeah, it's pretty crisp.
Oh,
It's like it's really versatile. It's one of those things that maybe counter worthy, you know, to have a couple of those sitting on the counter, and so
Yeah.
people can just see them. You know, when they come into the showroom, they can just grab onto that and play around with it. Look at it; it's going to slam right into that shoebox right there.
Oh, boom. Get it out of there. Smash, turn, light.
Boom! You know, one of my favorite things about that is that you'll actually be able to change that if it burns out.
Be an easy switch, right?
Yeah, sure.
You turn it. It's adjustable.
Lights. Look at the uplight inside the halide fixture like that. So you could have a glare, kind of a low glare environment, and turn it upside down into the halide, and you get rid of the glare. Look at that.
Directional. That's awesome. Boom.
Boom.
Very versatile.
Satco.com,
That's-
folks. Woo!
Yeah.
That's a hot
That's cool.
product,
They
man.
did- That's how you do the ad right there. Just watch that because that's cool. It shows you everything it can do, and obviously can do a lot more than just what's on that video. But a hot blast. Coming
Yeah,
to you
man.
From Satco.
That's someone who's having fun in the lighting business right there. Having fun with a good product, and really demonstrating it to the people out there. And then of course you and I having even more fun with it here on the Get a Grip on Lighting podcast, folks. So check it out, satco.com. Those are coming out hot. Of course, we got the cover of the TLD. On the cover of the TLD, we got a really hot cover coming out this month. So if you're a super fast listener to the Get a Grip on Lighting podcast, then it's not out yet. But if you kind of take them in from time to time, you want to check out the fall edition, volume 27, number 3 of the Today's Lighting Distributor. You know, Greg, how long have you've been receiving the Today's Lighting Distributor for more than a decade?
Yes. Yeah. As long as I've been a NAILD member, which has been longer than that now.
Yeah, it's not
11
always a cover to cover read. I mean, I'll admit that.
No.
You know,
Mhm.
but I always read the president's message and give it a read, and I look at what's this guy up to, and then I'll pick out the odd article that interests me, and there's a couple good ones coming out in the TLD. There's one on Autodesk The Dark Sky that I thought was pretty hot. Mark Jewell has a piece in there. We've set up a new area of the show called the Get a Grip on Lighting Industry Summary, which is just bullet points of what we've learned in doing this show. There's a nice point versus counterpoint in there, and then there's a little bit of a sorry Zimmerman, but we're not sure if you're there, but we threw your article in the TLD with that near infrared stuff that he was talking about.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good overview of what's going on in lighting, and that's what the goal of it is. And it's kind of nice in a way. I know everything is digital or online, but actually, when you get something physically printed and sent to you, you can just leave it next to you, and then whenever you get a chance, just pick it up and read it. It's kind of nice to have that hard copy, and that's what this will be.
Yeah, in the age of digital, print has a new form of power in a way.
Mm-hmm.
It's it not available on the internet actually. Only available in print. You only get it in print. That's all it comes out in. Nothing on the internet. None of those those weird software tools where people you click and the page turns.
Mm-hmm.
That's so 2009.
Yep. Done with that.
Done with that. You send me the mag. I'll have it on my desk. I'll read a few articles in it and check out the president's message coming out hot to all NAILD members. And some of the friends of NAILD, too, might get a copy. Thank you, folks, for listening. I think we covered all the ads. And, of course, Greg and Jeff Nefouses. Ton of fun, guys. Greg Nefouses, you're a legend, buddy. Always looked up to you, man. And, there's another article in the TLD. It's a little something about succession. So, for right now, thank you for listening.
Written on the rectory wall, there's a sign there for all. You are lost, Lord is there to find you.